Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Nintendo and Colin McIsaac from Gamnesia to discuss everything that just leaked from Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So let's get started. Alright guys, so today's been one heck of a day when it comes to leaks from Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Because if there was any doubt out there about this game existing, today proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that yes, it is in fact a real thing. We got not just artwork and box art for the game, we have full internal documents revealing internal information about how this game is going to work. So basically this game is a turn-based RPG going by the slides. They say it's 35% exploration, 65% turn-based combat, and as part of that there are 8 main characters, including Mario, Luigi, and Peach, and then there are 4 Rabbids as well dressed as each of those characters, and they're each equipped with like these strange weapons. Mario has like a freaking Mega Man like arm cannon on him. Yeah. Luigi has a poltergust gun, and even the Rabbids have their own kind of weapons here.
It looks like they're all guns except for the Rabbid who's dressed as Luigi. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, who knows what their names are.
The unstable one.
Yeah, there
the unstable
exactly.
one, yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of nitty-gritty details we can go over, and we've already covered in the update, so we'll probably just get to it naturally through this discussion. But I want you guys' raw reactions. So, Colin, I know this is all new to you, I believe, so what do you think about all this?
I think the art direction is great. The characters look so animated. They are so full of life. I think the gun idea looks really fun. So I'm feeling really positive about this. The one thing that sort of has me hesitating is that it looks like there are 4 worlds, and that seems a little light.
Yeah, that's like half a normal Mario game.
They better be really damn good if there are only 4 of them, because that means on average too, if this game is about 20 hours, which by the way I think that's a pretty good playtime for a Mario RPG on a Nintendo system. If this game's about 20 hours, that means each world is going to be about 5 hours long on average, and that's a while if any of these places are just the same sort of rote, like grasslands, deserts, castle areas that we've seen in every Mario game to date.
Well, they did say it has a twist.
They have twists, yeah. we've seen some disappointing twists in the past, though.
That's
so I'm gonna reserve my judgment for the real game. Yeah, no, I am just so ecstatic. This art direction is incredible. It's really sold me on the immersion of this game. It looks cartoony and fun and just so lighthearted and enjoyable. All right,
Don, what's your take?
Well, I must say that I really like the look of the characters. I was really surprised by them. Especially like the Mario characters they're completely differently rendered than a typical Nintendo game.
Yeah. A little bit more cartoony, maybe?
Yeah, they have more rounded edges, they look more cartoony. I really liked the look of them, honestly.
Yeah, I do too.
And then you have the 4 rabbits who are dressed like various Mario characters. I'm not sure how to feel about those. I was surprised by the tagline for the Mario Rabbid, the Macho Man.
Yeah.
And I was kind of taken aback by that, honestly. And for example, with the princess and the selfie and what have you. But it's other rabbits. They try to bring a goofy sense to them, and I kind of see where they're going with it. It's kind of hard to tell where the humor is going because we don't really have any idea yet.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But it's interesting. I kind of like it, and especially like the gameplay ideas in themselves, like having a good chunk of turn-based combat and a bunch of exploration in them. Now, once again, like Colin said, I'm not really sure about just 4 worlds to explore. I think that's kind of... I think it's kind of fishy. At one point, like 4 worlds can be enough to give you enough to see and do. At the same time, they can become quite repetitive if they drag for too long.
And especially if the gameplay in between them doesn't really vary that much. Like I'm sure all of us have Mario and Luigi Paper Jam fresh on our minds, and it's basically every time you get to a world, it's like, okay, now you gotta find 30 toads, and now you gotta talk to 3 people in the town, and then move on to the next thing, and then the next thing is just find 30 more toads. or a paper battle between them. As long as the design is fresh and interesting within those worlds, I think that's what matters more. But
right.
4 is just it's a small enough number that I'm concerned it might get too repetitive.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting they even describe it as, as having worlds, right? Just because RPGs usually have one world. They're singular. It's one It's one giant area. So that kind of tells me that, or I'm kind of expecting something a little bit more, I don't know if linear is the right word, but like a little bit more structured than a typical RPG, right?
That's actually a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of expecting, and as such, I expect each of those to, have different themes, obviously. But maybe,
absolutely, yeah.
But maybe, I mean, there actually is an image of one of the worlds, and it looks like your typical grassland. But I wouldn't be surprised if the other 3. And granted, we can't tell much from it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the other 3 definitely go way more outside the usual bounds of a Mario game, especially with the Rabbids being here, which really could throw everything off. So my quick impressions: this looks really dumb, and I kind of dig it for that. This looks really silly,
Totally.
And I kind of like that. Like on paper, this really sounds terrible. I'll be straight up; it doesn't sound like a good game. But what I'm seeing here, I'm kind of digging it. I kind of like the art style. Even though I kind of wrote off the Rabbids a while ago, for whatever reason, I think they may work here. Granted, they very well may not as well. I could really see this game going either way, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this game. It looks like something kind of off the wall, not what you usually expect, and I like the fact that it's co-op too.
To be fair, I'm not really too keen on the Rabbids either. At the same time, a game that I really enjoyed on Wii was Rabbids Go Home. I think that game was one of the most interesting experiences that Ubisoft brought to the platform, because it was hilarious, it didn't take itself seriously, it was a really good, solid platformer with a goal to it. So if Ubisoft can take it in that specific direction, and granted it's not really a similar gameplay style, it's more turn-based combat than actual interaction, I think they still can have a winner on their hands.
Yeah, and I think the reason that the Rabbids seem to work here, as far as we can tell so far, is because they each have their own personalities, it seems. And they're really strong characters, rather than just the same sort of nondescript little things that go blah and don't do anything else for 10 hours at a time, with like 100 of them all over the place. They're keeping it a little more reined in, and giving each of the Rabbid characters a little bit more personality, and I think that's why they work. So I think that's good, and I wonder how many of like the NPCs in the world are going to just be those sort of non-discriminate Rabbids. Don, I think it was you were mentioning like the sense of humor that they mentioned, and I'm sort of wondering to what end that's going to be like zany, cartoony humor in the world and with the gameplay versus humor that's written into the dialogue, as would be something like Earthbound or like some of the Paper Mario games. And so I think if it's takes place more within the world and a lot of the NPCs are just non-discriminate Rabbids, then goofy sense of humor might be a little bit of an overreach. But if, it all depends on how they manage these kinds of things, and so far I'm feeling optimistic.
I think the thing that worries me the most at this point are the developers behind it.
Yeah.
Ubisoft Paris and Milan are not the most referenced studios within the Ubisoft moniker. And I'm putting myself sort of lightly here. Mostly because I think Milan is mostly done like helpful side work for the Just Dance games, and recently stuff for Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I didn't really like either. And then Paris has been mostly responsible for those games, together with Rabbids Land and some parts of Watch Dogs.
Yeah, I mean that's always a question when it comes to these, with Nintendo working with third parties, right? But in general, they usually turn out pretty well with Nintendo's oversight, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. I mean, it's more the base game that I'd be concerned about, or the base idea is, mixing Mario with Rabbids. Yeah. With this, in the turn-based RPG, let's just take a moment to realize how crazy that is. Mario and Rabbids in a turn-based RPG. How nuts is that? So yeah, I mean, I don't know enough except to be curious. Like I'm interested to see where this goes. You kind of touched on something earlier, Colin, with by mixing, so the Rabbids kind of work, I think, best in small doses.
Right.
And that kind of worked, and especially, and that worked especially well when Raymond was in the mix. But eventually, they got rid of Raymond, and it was just straight up the Rabbids. So I think it is interesting that now they have the Mario characters to bounce off of, which may provide a better balanced experience. Like maybe we will get the Rabbids in a proper dosage this time, as compared to ODing on these guys.
Right. I mean, again, in Rabbids Go Home, they kind of worked off the reworld with humans, so they still had something to work against. So it might work a third time. You never know.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they interact. I kind of am expecting there not to be a ton of dialogue in this game, but maybe they will.
Yeah,
but the Rabbids themselves, I don't think ever say anything, right? And then Mario himself doesn't either. So
right, exactly.
So the only characters we have that could possibly have dialogue would be basically Peach and Luigi, because Yoshi doesn't say much either. I mean, I guess he has in text before, but
I get the sense it'll work something like the Mario and Luigi games, where like the group you control are silent protagonists, but then if there are even NPCs in this world, we have no idea yet, then those are kind of who you'll bounce off of.
Right.
The NPC point is a really good one, because if you look at the slide where it talks about exploration, you are not directly controlling the characters, you are controlling the tutorial, who is controlling you for the world.
Does anyone know what that means?
It's that flying disc thing that was mentioned before that just helps you throughout the worlds.
I think you can actually see it in the box art. I think it's a little rabbit in front of Mario.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that is a character you're controlling in the overworld.
But it's interesting, because it's interesting they say it will do puzzles and you can find secret zones that way, but I'm not really sure what that means, considering you don't really control the characters at least initially. I'm not sure later, but it seems that you're mostly controlling this specific character.
Yeah. Before I realized that was that character's name, my guess was that it was whoever was writing these slides, it was their sort of development code name for where you control one group of characters sort of simultaneously, like in Earthbound, how everyone trails behind you. But, so I wonder, I guess, if this means everyone walks behind Tutorio, or if it's just something else entirely.
I guess that's what it means.
Because you can see Rabbids in the overworld exploration screenshot, but I don't know how the Mario characters come into play. I don't know at what point in development that screenshot is, or at what point in the game that is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, like, we actually know very little about how the turn-based combat is going to work. We know it sounds like you would be able to control the heroes in that mode, because they specifically mention in the exploration portion where you don't control them. So it sounds like you will have direct control over them in the battles. But beyond the fact that you'll be able to upgrade and grab weapons, and that is co-op, which also is another point in the fact that you can play them directly. There's not much to go off of. They mentioned that there is cover you can take, and you have some tactical options like dashing, team jumps, and
to be fair, if you had to control them as a group during a turn-based combat, that would be kind of shitty turn-based combat.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a party system where you can swap characters in and out, or if it's that you control all 8 of them in the same battle. I just we have a lot to see from this, and it's almost here.
I mean, it kind of sounds like this is along the lines of a strategy RPG, like Fire Emblem almost, where you move the characters on a per-character basis. Because with there being cover, I don't know how else that would work.
That's right, because with tactical options, and it says there's warp pipes.
Right.
So that's a good point. It sounds like Peach is a defense kind of hero. It sounds like Luigi is a sniper, just given the class sort of descriptions they gave of him. It said Luigi's an eagle eye. Yoshi's like a bomb sort of character. It looks like he's an explosives technician, something like that. So I don't know. Tactical is I'd never even thought of that. I thought of it more of a turn-based action RPG, but it could be tactics.
It also ties into the fact that this has multiplayer co-op, because you wouldn't be able to each like control specific characters if you weren't playing with another person.
Right.
Right.
And it should be mentioned, too, that it apparently is 2 players, so
Right.
Which is great
Right.
in that you have 2 Joy-Cons there constantly. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping, for like 8-player action. That'd be pretty amazing, right?
Right. Like, I mean, I wonder how that would all even work. Because let's say, whether it's tactics or just like the same kind of action combat as Mario and Luigi, if it's 8 characters on the screen, then I guess you split it up 4 and 4, and that seems kind of bizarre. But I mean, then again, you could do 2-player Mario and Luigi with the Game Boy player on the GameCube, which was equally weird, so who knows?
That's true.
It will be interesting to see how, because they mentioned 7 enemy archetypes and 1 boss mid-boss per world. I just wonder how much variety that has, and what for kind of characters we'll actually meet. Will this be more based on the Rabbids? Will it more be based on the Mario universe? It's kind of hard to tell at this point.
Right.
That is,
when they say archetypes, do they mean like Goombas and Paragoombas and Tanuki Goombas
They
and
might.
Cat Goombas, or do they mean just Goombas? You know?
They might. It's hard to really say, honestly.
Well, I think, too, I wonder if this might be a slight clue. I think we see what may be one of the boss characters on the box art. You can see a giant rabbit in the background, except he looks like Donkey Kong, because he's wearing like a DK tie. Right?
Huh.
So,
No,
I
yeah,
wonder...
you're right.
So, I think this is going to be like a true convergence of these 2 games. Like, it's going to be like
That's
half
crazy.
Mario, half Rayman across the board. So, I have a feeling we may not see typical Mario enemies here, but we may see spoofs of them, or spin-offs of them.
That would be
Yeah.
cool. I would love to see that.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think
Yeah,
so.
me too.
You know,
That's what I love most about Mario spin-offs. I mean, that kind of creativity is what I love the most about Mario RPG and the Paper Mario games. So if that's the case, I am ecstatic.
I want them to go all out with the weirdness in this. Like, embrace it.
Me too.
You know, go crazy with us. Go off the wall, do whatever you want. The weirder, the better, in my case. So
Totally.
and also the easier to ignore if it ends up sucking or something.
Yeah.
So we've kind of hit on the main points here. Do you guys have anything else you want to bring up
so.
about this, or?
The only other thing in going through these slides one last time is the timeline of June, surprise announcement, July, that's when they plan to convince the media and gamers on this thing with preview events, and August is when they're going big for launch. And what really sticks out to me is that they have like lots of magazine covers already there in this slide, so I wonder how hard they're going to be pushing this thing. They may be trying to get... They may be trying to make this a system seller for the console, and
They're gonna push it hard. This is
do
this
we
is the
think
first.
that could really work?
This is the first Mario game, the first true Mario game on the system.
Yeah. If you call it a true Mario
Well,
game,
I mean,
I
it's
guess
not.
it
It's
is.
not. I mean, it's not part of the mainline series, but this is the first.
Yeah.
This is the first new
It's-
Mario game that he's headlining. This is Mario Kart
Yeah,
Deluxe
for
is
sure.
a port. So
Yeah.
so they are gonna blow this out. I think this is going to be a big game for them. But they're going to try to make it a big game at least. And
Yeah.
I am kind of laughing at surprise announcement considering what happened today.
Yeah, I know. That's that's the great irony of it all.
it's true. You're right. Definitely not surprised anymore.
But yeah, June will likely get your first hands on. Then July they might do again, and then another at Gamescom, and then do reviews.
Yeah.
Like it's setting in the last slide. It's gonna be August, September, so they might like do at the 2 big events and then one in between to get constantly people excited for it, because it seems like a very short amount of time to get people excited for a game, especially in the Ubisoft life cycle.
Yeah.
But true. But keep in mind, I mean,
I-
with a Switch, we've been dealing with like short cycles in general.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think that that's good in this day and age where people learn about news immediately and then they're on to the next thing. So
Right.
the shorter time there is for people to forget that this game exists before it comes out, I think the better.
That's a good point.
Sure.
With it coming out in August or September, we're looking at a pretty good lineup of games that we already know about. ARMS is coming out next month, right after E3. We have Splatoon 2 the following month. Then potentially Mario and Rabbids either the month right after or the one after that. So within 2 months of Splatoon 2 will have Mario and Rabbids, and then you'll probably have Mario Odyssey in November, followed by Xenoblade Chronicles 2 potentially in December, even though I still think it's probably going to get delayed to next year. But if not, that is one heck of a lineup.
Hey, I don't forget the thing I'm excited about, Fire Emblem Warriors.
Oh, I did, you're right! So there you go. So that might be, that could be an October title, right? Potentially.
October, September, sure.
Yeah.
That's around the time that that Hyrule Warriors launched.
Yeah, so that is quite a few games right there for the Switch alone, from only a first-party perspective. We only know what's coming third-party, and of course all the indie games that may be coming too.
I do. It's nothing.
Yeah, actually you're right. Probably is nothing.
It will be interesting to see if...
That's a joke, everyone. It's a joke.
It will be interesting to see if Nintendo has any surprises left at E3, especially for the showcase, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, that is. I mean, they do tend to like to focus on the games for the coming year. But I think with the Switch, they may want to blow it out a little bit more, get people excited about the long-term stuff, like, you know, Smash Brothers when that comes up.
Right, they're definitely going to be talking about Smash Bros.
I feel like they have to. Yeah, you definitely want to get people
I feel like they have to talk about Mother 3, but we know how that goes.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I guess the final point I want to bring up about this game is I'm sort of surprised a little bit by the reaction so far, in that it's not horrible. It's not the worst reaction I expected. Some people actually seem kind of excited for it, which is nice. So I wonder if this artwork really did convince some people, but the artwork is pleasant to look at.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's the case. I mean, it gives these palm leaves give me huge Super Mario RPG vibes, and it's just delightful and fun. So, you know, I think that's. I think a lot of the same sort of things we've been talking about, how, like, we're getting the Rabbids in a way smaller dose than we're used to, which means a way better dose than we're used to, and I think all those kinds of things are really working in favor of this game.
Yeah, like I said at the top of when we started this, I just love the art style, and it is really, I really like the renders of the Mario characters and how it looks. So I'm really interested to see how the game looks in itself.
I think it probably is a good thing that this full art came out shortly after, or rather came out after, came out at all after the initial Peach image came out, or the Rabbid Peach came out, where she's taking a selfie of herself.
I cannot believe what would have happened to the internet if the only thing we knew about this game is that there's a rabbit in a Peach costume who's obsessed with social media. Hashtag sassy, hashtag no filter, hashtag I don't care, Don. It's beautiful.
What were we gonna say, Don?
I was gonna say hashtag no filter, but that's okay.
Yeah, Colin beat you to it.
Sniped.
Colin covered all the hashtags, exactly. Yeah, because I think the reaction to that wasn't the greatest. But this came out, the full image came out pretty much right after and kind of washed over that initial reaction.
Yeah, that really saved
one thing is for sure, we won't see some of the names presented here in its final marketing. Like, for example, Badass Princess.
That's
oh yeah, no way.
Oh no.
I don't think so.
The explosive head, huh?
I think the closest we think, yeah, we're not going to see that in an E-rated game from Nintendo, or even an E10 Plus rated game. The closest we've seen that I can think of was when they said hell in Donkey Kong 64 in the opening scene.
Yeah.
But I think that does kind of point to the overall attitude, or tude, if you will, that they're aiming for with this game.
Cartoony, fun. It's youthful. It's not childish.
Right.
There's a difference, and I like it.
We'll see where they take it. I'm actually excited to see how it looks in motion. So, and we'll be playing it in just 1 month. It sounds like, not even a month, a few weeks.
To be fair, it could all fall apart as soon as they show a trailer. So let's also be a little bit careful.
The surprise at E3 is that this game doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, it totally could fall apart. I want to stress, I'm cautiously excited for this. Like, I'm excited by what it could be, but also very afraid. Alright, I think we're about done here. Colin, where can people find you at?
Guys, just keep checking Gamnesia.com. We're working on some stuff, and hopefully ready to make some big announcements soon.
Alright, sounds awesome. How about you, Don? Where can people find you at? Besides everywhere.
You can thank you. You can find me on Twitter at Nintendo. That's NANTENDAAN. Go Nintendo, Nintendo World Report, NF Magazine, my YouTube channel, and a whole bunch more.
Awesome, and you'll find links to everyone's stuff in the description below. And of course, if you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can also find links to those in the description below. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on the Nintendo Switch and this game as well once you find out more, which may be soon at this rate, and everything else gaming as well. Catch you guys later. Bye.